You know, every so often a movie comes out that really seems to be tailor-made for you to want to see. In my case, this new movie Argo that was just released on Friday was that sort of movie to me. I mean, it's based on a true story, it has politics, it has current events, it's a thriller, it has comedy, it talks about the movie industry. All those things really are things that just grabbed me and made me want to see this movie. Certainly when I first heard about it, most undoubtedly after I first saw the trailer, which is probably the best trailer I've seen all year. Oh, but let me back up a little bit. Argo is a new movie that was just released. It stars Ben Affleck. It was directed by Ben Affleck too. That's his third movie now after Gone Baby Gone and The Town, both of which were fantastic, by the way. And Argo is just as good as those movies, if not possibly better. But anyway, the movie is based on a true story about how the CIA was able to get some Americans who had escaped the Iranian embassy during the Iran hostage crisis out of Iran and back to America. The way they're able to do this is something that seems so totally ridiculous. It has to be true, because you know what they say. The truth is always stranger than fiction. And in this case, the truth is that the CIA set up a fake sci-fi movie production to try to disguise these 6 American and embassy workers as members of a film crew to try to get them out of Iran by claiming they're there looking for locations to shoot a movie of this big fantastical science fiction movie by the title of Argo. And the way they were able to do this, the CIA was able to convince John Chambers. He's a real life character. This is a true story, and most of these people existed in real life, although a few of them were fictionalized and a few of them were changed a little bit for the movie, of course, to serve the drama. They went to a friend of theirs in the industry, John Chambers, who had won an Oscar for his makeup on the movie Planet of the Apes. That's how they were able to get connections with him through his previous work for them in the movie industry. John Chambers is played in this movie by John Goodman, who's very good. The entire cast is fantastic here. I mean, Ben Affleck plays the lead. He plays Tony Mendez. He's a CIA specialist in this sort of, exfiltration is what they call it, getting people out of tough spots. We also have Bryan Cranston, from Breaking Bad. He's absolutely very good, especially in the beginning of the movie and the end of the movie, where he has the most screen time, where he has most involvement in the development and carrying out of this plan. He plays sort of one of Tony Mendez's bosses at the CIA. We also have just a great slew of character actors in this movie. Just a character actor porn is how I've heard it been described, and really is a very good way to describe it. We have Alan Arkin. He's hilarious here as an old washed-up film producer who's hired to make it look like he's the guy who's in charge of the production. We also have Kyle Chandler, from Friday Night Lights and Super 8. He's really good in a small role. Just all these recognizable character actors who you know that these characters mean business because the actors are playing them there. And yeah, the way this movie is able to move back and forth between the real life crisis at the American embassy in Tehran, along with the sort of clandestine spy thriller type of stuff at the CIA. And then when they go to Hollywood, basically, there's really no mistaking this. If they were able to make the movie Argo in real life, it'd just be crap. It'd probably be something you might end up seeing on Mystery Science Theater or something. This is really low rent stuff, and the movie makes no attempt to disguise that basically everything involved in the making of the setting up of the actual movie thing is played for laughs. But even though they have all these great talented comedic actors like John Goodman and Alan Arkin in those roles, and even though they do admit just how totally ridiculous this thing is, they never forget how serious the underlying situation is. I mean, these are people's lives they're fighting for. They're designing this ridiculous movie to get people out of Iran, because otherwise they might be killed because of the, of course, very anti-American sentiment they had over there. And one of the worries that this is really underlined is in the scene where in order to create some legitimacy to this movie production, they set up this whole big reading of this script that they found, and at the same time as we have these actors in those gaudy costumes reading this ridiculous dialogue, this is intercut and edited with both people from who are in Iran listening to news reports of what's going on there and how much people dislike them, and also people from Iran describing their own grievances towards America, which the movie makes quite clear are well founded because of how the American government manipulated the government of Iran in the years prior to the hostage crisis. This means that even though there are a lot of laughs in the movie, this is a very funny movie at times, it's still very tense, very serious, and this is probably just one of the best examples of comic relief in a movie I've seen in a long time, even though it doesn't completely relieve the tension, which is of course good because this movie is above all a thriller. Now, if you've seen the trailers, and like I said, I love the trailer for this movie, and it makes it seem that probably much more comic than it really is. They put lots of the comic stuff in the trailer, I guess because they thought that it probably would be what would sell it. But this is much more of a serious thriller than is a comic thriller, but still very funny. But the heart of this movie is in how Tony Mendez has to fly into Iran and teach these people how to behave like a film crew, at least long enough for them to get out of there. And that is when this movie is very, very good. I mean, the photography here is just like cool, steady, very well designed. It looks like a movie from the 1970s, so we probably will not see a more convincing 1970s or late 70s, early 80s in a movie ever. I mean, from the costumes to the weird hair to even the way these people just talk to each other and handle each other. It looks like it's taken straight out of the era. And the production design, as I mentioned, the sets, even from the small houses and marketplaces in Iran to some of these cheesy movie sets that they designed, a large like cathedral area where Tony has to meet one of his contacts on the way to Iran to pick up some falsified paperwork. Everything here just looks fantastic and authentic, and there's a delightful movie. They obviously worked hard on the period detail here. And as I mentioned, the performances are all very good. I mean, Ben Affleck as the main character, he doesn't have a whole lot of show, big scenes. He's basically like the steady underlying thing that carries the movie from these very, very different parts, from the comic Hollywood scenes to the thrillering escape scenes from in Iran. He's like the steady line that unites all this thing, which is really, really rather appropriate if you think of it, because he's also the director who has to maintain the tone of these things behind the camera, as well as in front of the camera. I actually probably would have accepted had he taken the liberty to make his Tony Mendez character into the director of the fictional movie, but that probably, even though that wasn't the case in real life, it probably would have been just a bit too cute in the actual movie, although I probably still would have accepted that. Oh. Anyway, this is just a very fun movie, very funny movie, very tense movie. It really makes you think about the plays and how the intelligence community really works. You know, when people think about the CIA and think of intelligence agencies in the movie, they think about things like, the Bourne Ultimatum. I mean, I kind of talked about this in my review of Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy and MI6, but this is just another good movie that gives you an idea of how the intelligence community actually works and just how convoluted it can become. There's one of the elements of this movie that I found fascinating was that this was not just a CIA thing. This was like almost a competition between different parts of government to see who would be able to get this thing done and who would get credit for it. Between the CIA, the State Department, other parts of the government, and the Canadian government, who did help a lot, although there has been some minor controversy over the fact that some people think the Canadian government was been not credited as much as they should be, but that doesn't really matter because the movie works as a movie, as I've said many times in the past. But on its own level, this is a very, very good movie. You should see it. It's one of the best movies you will see this year, probably. It's sure to get plenty of Oscar nominations. I can see Best Picture, Best Director, maybe Best Supporting Actor for Alan Arkin or John Goodman or something. Certainly a screenplay nomination. This is a fantastic screenplay. And of course, all those technical things, it's just sure to be a very good movie. I recommend you see it. You'll very much be glad you did.